Welcome back to PowerPivot table version number 1.2. In our previous video, we saw how to build a custom designing formats, and we saw one of the default colors that we have here on the pivot table slides. And I even showed you how we can change the data sources in the previous video and how we can update a data here. And I showed you how to refresh a pivot table, how to copy paste the pivot table in multiple dimensions, how to filter a pivot table, how to change or how to add a new calculation to another column here. And I showed you what are the default and event functions available in pivot table and how many formulas we can create without a pivot table. And I even touched the value field setting. So in our current video, I'm going to add the next 10 or 11 dimensions here, which will start from a text default data component and how to use a number based. What is the default number based component that we will get? And how we're going to use a counting criteria or counting records. What is the difference between a counting records and numbers or text? And we'll see how each and every data is going to work here properly and how effectively it's going to work. Let's see how to build it. So now I'll go back to the first logic again. So in our earlier version or in the first class, I showed you how to create a cross-tabbed data type using a pivot table here, which took a lesser time for me to get this data. I'm going to do that right now in a different way. So I want to show the data in this dimension here. And I even showed this in our previous. This is what we're about to see in the next logic. So I'm going to build a multiple condition. This is what we would have seen saw in our list here, like sales, count, and average, and we can build something like that in a pivot table. So now I'm going to use this data to build the data like this. I'm going to work on this. I'm going to create a few more multiple tables. So next topic is first start with accounting. So when I create a pivot table, so normally when I go back to our data here and try to add a pivot table here and insert a pivot table here, then I'll ask you a new question. So what do you want to do? So I'm going to create them in a brand new sheet. And now if I normally bring in a text-based information to a value, it won't give you the calculation that we normally see. When I normally drag a sales here, the sales will automatically become sum, and I can just go to the value field settings here, or I can just summarize the values in a different way altogether. So I'm going to just give a right click here. I can summarize the value in the following dimension. I can do a count, I can do an average, max, min, product, anything that is related to a mathematical functionality. I can achieve all of them when I have a number field. Wherein if I move the number field out of the equation, bring in a customer or a text field into my value, it will always show one dimension that is called count here. I'm not able to get a sum here. When I try to use a sum functionality, the summarize value, it's going to always give you an odd figure out like this. You cannot do any mathematical function when I deal with a text field in the value set. But again, if I want to add one more dimension, so I'm going to copy this and paste it here. And instead of adding the sales step here, if I add a unit to my value, then it will automatically show the sum here. And I can create multiple dimensions. I can give a count here. Count will come the same as what I got earlier, and an average will be different. You can see a lot of calculations are changing here when I do deal with a number format. So I can achieve all these functionalities one by one when I do deal with a numerical value. Whether I can either use a unit or a sale or a COGS, I get all of them properly. That's what a number data field will start with a sum. I can cheat whatever I want. Whenever I deal with a text functionality, it always starts and ends with count. The same way when I deal with pivot table calculation, I always have 11 different formulas of functionality. So let's see what that is all about. So now I've created a new pivot table here, and then I'm going to just right click here and then go to value field settings. I can change this account here first, and now it gives you a count. And let me copy paste this, and then I'm going to change the summarization of data from count to count numbers. So at the moment, the valuations are similar here because in both the dimension, I'm using the units here and the data are going to be different. So what is the difference between a normal count and a count numbering here is when I use a count and counter, what is the difference that I'll get? The same difference I'll get here also. So when I try to give 1, 2, 23 or 2, 3, 4 and 8 here. Now if I try to do a count here, it's going to give you the count only for the numbers here, not the age. So now you can see the first 5 numbers only will come into play. So let me make it more easier to read, and you won't get the E here when I use the count function. That's what even pivot table does for you. And if I use a count A here, the advantage that I have is it's going to give you all the non-blank selected. So now the answer is going to be 6 for you. So count will only count the numerical valuation here, but counter will find all the non-blank cells in the range. It can be a number, it can be a text, it can be anything. So whenever I deal with a count based on a text field here, this can give you the count A functionality, and it gives you all the counts irrespective of whatever it is. But when I go to the count number field, it's going to give you only the count on the numerical valuation. When I try to do that in a text point, I may not get it. Same happens even in our pivot table. And whenever I do deal with the data here, so if my data are a little weird, for example, I'm going to come to the next data sheet and I'm trying to add this field and create a pivot table. I'm going to create a date here, so I'm going to just add a pivot table right now in a brand new sheet. And then when I tick the dates here, so now you can see the dates are going to give you a very odd figure. So I'm going to give you what you are looking forward for here. The data are going to come a little weird here because I have one of the data type which is wrongly built in. If the data are, if I have a blank in between, then I'll be having a blank. Then I can see the data are coming in a text formatting here. So if that is a number date formatting, then that would be even more better for me. So now instead of doing this, I'm going to just back here and then convert the text into a two visible portions, or I can just say whatever the year that I want to add here. Instead of doing this, I can just say 1-2-11, then it automatically jumps to the data list, and I can add one more date to the list. And now I got the data structure that I'm looking for. Now I can refresh this. By that way, you can see that the blanks are gone. And when I clean the data gives you the date field. This is what we can do in a mixed data, or if the data are jumbled here, then I may not able to get the exact dimension I'm looking for how the data is going to work here, how the data are going to the display here will vary according to the data type that I have. So now I'm about to create 3 different calculations that I wish to do. So let me add same data again. I want to do the count max and min. So I'm going to get this data. So let me come back to my list here. Start a pivot table. And in a brand new sheet, then I can add each and every dimension. So the agenda that I'm looking forward to the data one is called region-wise count, maximum sales and minimum sales in a region. So now I'm going to go back to the sheet 4 again. I'll check the region, it will automatically come to you in the row. You want to change that in the row, you can do that. And I can just take the data here. So what is the data that is given here is called the count of the data, maximum, minimum value. And I'm going to take all the sales value. I'm going to go take back the sales. And if I want the count here, I can give a right click in this list and I can go for summarize value. Then I can add the sales one more time by dragging and dropping it same field more than once. I want to convert this into a maximum value, so summarize the value to max. Summarize value. If you want to make non-decimal outputs here, then I can give a right click here, go to the value field settings and go to number formatting. Convert that without that. I can add thousands of data and same can be applicable for the other list. Number formatting, numbers, thousands of letters. Notice. Okay. If I want only the count to name here, then I'll give a right click here and I'll say valuable settings and I'll say count. Now it's not going to shout at me because source name is sales, but the custom name is count. That's going to allow me, and I can do the max sales here. Then I can even add so every time I use it here, I'm using the value for sales. This is what a value for sales can do for us analyst. This is how I'll be building a pivot table. When I do deal with the pivot table, the advantage that I have when I work around on the pivot front is when I want to see what is the detail sales that has happened in these, I will just go to the maximum sales here, and when I double click this, it will automatically open a new sheet for me and gives you the complete list of sales that has happened in a brand new sheet. Now you can see that the sheet 4 has this, and this is my maximum sales breakup. So I didn't do anything very big, just gone to the sheet 4. This is the pivot table, multi-calculation pivot table. And when I double click this, I can see all the minimum sales for them. Now, this is the max sales breakup for East. And the main sales for. And I can even find out the counts here. When I double click this, that's going to give you the count of it. So I can expand the data from a one-liner to a detailed data point. This is how we can extract data. I can extract the data to a brand new sheet. I just double click each sheet. So now I'm going to take you to the new topic here, or pivot table chart, pivot chart analysis. How I can build a pivot chart, and how I can create a pivot analysis on the slicer instead of using a collapse and expand button. I would like to create a filter which is more dynamic in nature. The look of the data is better. Let's. So before I go forward to create a pivot chart for the data that is already available for us, I'm about to build the data in a different way altogether. Let's see how to do that. So to create a pivot table or to work with the pivot chart, let me add our data list. So we already gone through the pivot table completely. So now we are about to see how to work with pivot chart. When I go to the pivot chart, again, the pivot chart also has an anatomy. Again, it is typically like our pivot table. So it will always start with the pivot cache, and then pivot chart field will come into play. And the pivot chart will have analysis, design, and one more extension called pivot. And they're a little different in the dimension here. So when I go down to the pivot cache, it's going to be the same, but the data will look in a landscape mode, not like the cache that we saw in a pivot table where it is a portrait mode. And when I go down to the pivot table chart field list, you will see the filter, legend series, and axis category and value will come into play. Filter and value will be remaining same, but the rows are defined as axis category and columns are defined as legend series here compared to the pivot table. Pivot table, I see filter, column, rows, and values. Where when I come back to the pivot chart field list, I see filter, legend series, axis category. And when I go down to the analysis here, again, the same thing, whatever I saw in the pivot table chart and table analysis will be similar to the pivot chart analysis. Only the design will change here, because in design, I can change the data type. I can select the data that I want to see as a chart. I can swap the row from column to the row. I can change the chart styles here, change the colors here. Even type of the chart can be changed. And you can set up a layout, and you can set a lot of chart elements to the list. And also I can move a chart to another sheet from the existing sheet, or I can make it a complete chart sheet here if I wanted to. Forward is something which I have seldom used it. Again, if you want to use it, definitely use it, but I never use the format chart a lot in my work environment, or in even in my training component. I don't really show a huge importance of the chart format. But again, there is a list of data that you can have. You can build something like this. So I generally use a pivot cache, pivot chart field, pivot charts analysis and design is what I use a lot. Let's see how I'm going to build pivot table. I'm not going to build a huge pivot table. I'm going to make the pivot table look very, very nice, simpler to display also. Let's see how I can create a pivot chart. So if I want to create a pivot chart, now I'm going to just take all the fields out of the equation. And I'm going to make this data into a compact data form. So I'm going to come back to the design. The report layout, I'm going to change. When you do that, the multiple column will go off. But again, the role label will be back again. It won't show the month and dates here. And I can expand and collapse all of them. Now, what I wish to see here is only the monthly series here. So that will be very nice to see. If you want to add a chart, the most easiest way to add a chart. So how I can add a chart is just go to the pivot table and place the cursor anywhere that you want and hit Alt F1. That way you can get a chart automatically. So when you give an Alt F1, you get a chart. So this is after creating a pivot table, I'm creating a chart. In some situation, we will not even do any of these dimensions. So now I'll show you how I'm going to directly do it. So the table feature, instead of using a pivot table, I'm going to delete all this pivot table out of the equation. Then I'll place the cursor in here. I'll come to insert. Instead of going for a pivot table here, if I'm using Office 2003 version, then I have a facility to achieve something better. So when I give an Alt TP here, I create a chart pivot table. So you can build both of them simultaneously. You can see the chart is coming up here. And you can also see a pivot table. So simultaneously, I can build them based on a pivot chart. So now I have two different data that comes into play in a pivot table field. So I can see that I can show the data here this way. When I place the cursor here, you can see the date, sales, and month comes into play. So I have a multiple field because I put them in multiple columns here. If I want again, I definitely convert them back to the table of form again. If you closely watch the pivot chart here, so you can see the pivot chart comes here. Again, like I clean the pivot table, I used to clean the pivot chart. Normally, I don't keep this fields here, I'll delete them. I don't keep the background line also. This is how I start the pivot table. And if you want to be shown as monthly sales, I can type the sales or monthly sales turnover somewhere in cell reference on top. Then keep the total header here, and then go to the formula bar and give an equals and select that monthly sales and give an. So now whatever I type in this cell reference, that will be automatically named on my list here. I can make this a little bigger, then I can do whatever I want to do with the data. Right. Now the advantage that I have is I can drill down this data to the next level by giving a plus button here. That's going to show you each and every day sales that I have. If I want only the monthly sales, then I can click this back. And if I group the data in my pivot table properly, I can do even more wonderful things here. I can right click here, go to the group option here, and I can add the quarter and year and give it out. That way the data will give you much more dimension. So when I give a minus here, I can go until a singular year, and I can add a data label to the chart element. And then I can change the chart's display in a particular pattern. I'm going to convert this into thousands. Again, the data are not completely converted yet. So now I want to move this data to the right here. I'm going to make this data, right click, go to value field settings, change the number formatting to currency. So automatically my currency symbols are added here. Now if I move my chart, the chart's going to do wonderful. When I click the plus here, You can see expand and collapse the charts very effectively. And the tables is simultaneously doing its job. And if I feel that I want only the hierarchy until the month, not the dates, then I can just come back here and go to my pivot table fields again by giving a right click. Go to show field is the last line. I'm going to check the date of the equation. So now my data will only go to 3 different calendar hierarchies. Here, quarter. I give a plus mark here. You can see months and quarters. I give a minus mark here. Whole year. Here, and breakup of quarters. Here, breakup of quarters and breakup of months. And now the entire data looks really very nice here. If you want to make this pivot table to a separate sheet, you can also do that by giving a right click. I can move the pivot chart and I can create a separate chart sheet here. And I can name the mouse if I want to. Now the chart is literally moved to a brand new sheet, and you can see all. And I can see the data even more better, even more bigger, in a much more cleaner. This is how we build a pivot chart. I even showed you how to create a pivot chart. Now I'm going to go for the last and the final logic that I'm going to build right now. That is going to be my slices here. So let me just recreate this chart again, or I'm going to just create a copy of this. I'm going to say move a copy of the sheet, particular sheet called table feature. Table feature data. Given okay, so it's jumping back to the table feature data here. If I want to copy paste this also, I can do it, but again, moving is the best way of doing it. So now I won't get that other sheet right now. So as I move it to the new sheet, that old sheet that I created right now is the area. There's no chart sheet. Now I would like to keep a filter here, not by using a filter in this chart, collapse and expand, nor I want to use them in the collapse expand here. Instead, I want to use the filtration option better. If you're using 2010 version and above, then you get one more dimension in your pivot table analysis or pivot chart, or wherever you go, you will see this insert slicer. The slicer will also come in your insert tab. You can get that. Again, normally I use the pivot table chart analysis or pivot table analysis. Wherever it's relevant for me, I can do that. Now, if I want to get the control of more than one slicer, I can check them all. So I want to control the year, quarter, and month. Again, keeping a year is not a useful task here because I'm not seeing a multiple year of data here. When I give an OK, I'm only happy to set the next two dimension. Again, when I go for a slicers now, so slicers will not have multiple dimension or anatomies like I showed you in the pivot chart or pivot table. I have only one window. When I create a pivot chart and when I add a slicer, the slicer will show all of it. I can name the slicer here. I can color the slicer here. I can hide this slicer, or I can convert multiple columns slicer here if I wanted to. I can make the height and width a little different. Let me show you how I'm going to do that. And I have, when I built the next logic of interactive dashboard, at that time I'm going to create a report connection also. So I'll show you how I'm going to use that slicer report connection effectively in the next video when I create an interactive dashboard. So I'm going to just reformat this like I created a pivot table, reformatted it. I did that in the pivot chart too. Now I'm going to do that in a slicer. Normally when I do deal with this, sometimes my data are weird. Probably we would have seen this in our video number 4 where when I have a blank cells in my data, I definitely get something like this at the bottom. I can control that better if I'm using Office 2016 version and above, because that is where the slicer has been beautifully improvised. Until then, we will still have this data we will only do the coloring part or adjustment part like this. So if I'm using Office 2016 version above, then I can go to the slicer settings here, and you will see a line here called hide item with different. This line item is not there in our previous versions, and I can do the same if I want to do that for other instances. So now we can see when I go for months, I have 12 months again. I see some data at the bottom, so I don't need that also. I'm going to remove that also out of it. I want to put the quarters in one line item or maybe two. So two will be nice here. And then I want to color them particular color. And then I want to put the months in the month of quarters here. Reduce that. In both the time, I've used the column features here. Here I use 2 columns. Here I have 3 columns here. So now I got a filter beautifully. Here again, use the filter maybe on the right hand side or left hand side, or wherever the data will not grow too much. You can keep it there. In real world scenario, you have to do it in a much more complex manner. When I click Q1 right now, both my chart and table will change. And not only that, my subsequent month chart is also change. I can swap to any month. If I want more than one quarter to come into play, and press Control button, click the second quarter that I want. So if I don't want a filtration, I want to clear everything, and I want to bring all the data back to normal, so I can use the click button. And this happens even in my other list here. You can see that the Q1 also want to come into play. When I click the list, you can see the Q2. So which one belongs to where? Yeah, you can see them all here very nicely. So the pivot table will beautifully portray the data nicely, and it's more readable than the table that I see in the middle. Slicer really does the job, and I can literally see what are the ones that is unselected. This is how we build pivot table, and then a chart-based pivot table, and I can create a slicer also. So I'm going to bring in a real-time data, or I'm going to give a big data right now. Based on the big data, I'll show you how I'm going to build the interactive dashboard for us, which gives you information about a lot of things. With this, I'll sign out and stay updated. Happy learning. Catch up with them.